Eurovision 2025 is approaching rapidly, and it's honestly so scary. Every year it's, a celebration of artists and music from all over Europe and even outside of this continent. And whilst all of that is very important, and I'd argue the most important thing about this contest, we all also really care about the results. For months, we've been asking the question of who's winning Eurovision 2025? And I think I might have some answers for you. Hello, my name is Freyr. I am a new creator here on the commentary/Eurovision side of YouTube. So I would really appreciate you subscribing to the channel, liking the video, leaving a comment, and following me on all of my socials, which are listed in the description box below.
Wait, his milk is his sperm? Is it the sperm?
By the way, if you hear birds like singing in the background, that's because spring is here. Finally, I'm not gonna be freezing my butt off for like months straight. That's great. But as a result, I'm also gonna be accompanied by some birds singing. And I hope that you are all right with that. This specific Eurovision year feels very open, at least to me. There's so much room for someone unexpectedly sneaking into that top 10 left side of the scoreboard. But honestly, I still feel like you can still name a couple clear frontrunners for the Eurovision trophy. I narrowed the list down to 6 entries that could possibly win. 5 of them I think are quite easy to predict. Like, if you've been following the contest this year, you probably are gonna be able to guess most of them. But the 6th, I wanted to add as a possible wildcard. I also do have some reasoning to believe that this specific entry could win. Let's begin with our first potential winner in the form of Austria. JJ is gonna be representing the country with his song Wasted Love. This entry, from the moment it was released, has garnered a lot, and I mean a lot of attention in the fandom, and many people immediately called it a winner.
And clap!
And listen, I get it. This is a quite dramatic entry in a way that makes perfect sense for Eurovision. It has the vocals, and it also has numerous moments that could help Austria run away with that trophy. First of all, the vocal in the choruses. Not everyone can get behind that kind of heavy opera performance, but there's no way you can deny that it's great. The technicality and the skill needed to execute this kind of vocal performance is insane, and JJ does it effortlessly on a daily basis. The opera might be divisive for some audiences, but you cannot deny that it has succeeded in the contest before, with, for example, Il Volo or even Nemo last year, even though the code was a little lighter on the opera of it all. But listen, we're gonna go back to the code in a second, because I think it's actually, there are some important factors that need to be pointed out with both of these entries. The second part is absolutely gonna be the moment with the techno outro. The song fully switches from like a sad opera ballad into like a rave-esque masterpiece. This, combined with like a good laser show of some interesting camera angles, could be a winning moment for JJ. This is where we get to the even more exciting part: who is gonna stage this performance. The staging director for this is gonna be Sergio, who last year gave us one of the best performances of all time in the form of Doomsday Blue by Bambi Thug.
How many people were scared? Me too.
If there's anyone who can take Wasted Love and make it into a show-stopping moment, it's Sergio. There has been an announcement saying something along the lines that they're gonna be creating rain on stage. Which, listen, honestly, I'm so interested in seeing how that's gonna look like. When it comes to the actual performance, I also have no doubts that JJ can deliver on the vocal front. But what path is Wasted Love gonna have to walk in order to achieve that trophy? Well, I think this wouldn't be a surprise to absolutely no one when I say that this is gonna win on the back of a jury victory. This has to do very well with the juries, and then if they get an appropriate televote score, this could win. It could get a similar win to the ones achieved by Loreen and Nemo in the 2 previous editions. This technically could also do well with the televote, so I wouldn't discount this entry as just like jury bait. Remember, Grande Amore in 2015 won the televote. However, there are some obstacles in the way. First of all, this year there are a lot of songs that are competing for that jury attention.
So pick me. Choose me. Love me.
And we'll talk about some of them in this video. Austria is gonna have a lot of competition, and there's no guarantee that Wasted Love will get enough of a lead in the juries to secure that first place. Secondly, the Nemo comparison. Last year, the code was the winning entry and it did have some opera elements to it. And the moment that JJ's song was released, the Nemo comparisons came in flying. Ultimately, I don't think this will deter JJ's winning chances too much, but I do feel like it does have to be mentioned. As a result, the juries might just not be too keen on having another opera winner in a row, but like, honestly, I don't think this is gonna happen. I think that JJ is still gonna do very well with the juries. But listen, if one potential jury victory isn't enough, there's a second possible one in the form of France. Maman by Luan is their entry this year, and I believe that this is the one to beat. Luan is a household name in France, and she does have a strong fan base outside of France as well, making her one of the biggest names to compete in this year's edition. And oh my god, did she deliver. I obviously do have a bias for this song considering how high I placed it in the first video on this channel where I ranked Eurovision 2025, but I don't think that it's delusional for me to say that this is very much a potential winner. When it comes to the vocals, this has some impressive high notes, and it's a ballad perfectly tailored for both the juries and the televote, to be honest. The French language also has its advantages, same as, for example, Italian. People really like those languages in music, so it can give France some additional points. Why am I so optimistic about this? I think that this song is both really accessible and really amazing at the same time. It also fits very well with most of the entries that France has been sending this decade. And listen, 2 of them managed to place at the very, very top, narrowly missing out on a win. France is on a upwards trajectory. It sort of reminds me of the mood around Italy before they won in 2021. The hype is real, and I don't see a possible scenario in which this fails to translate live. As I just mentioned, Luan is a reliable performer. But what is not the most reliable thing though is gonna be the staging director for this. Fredrik Rindban has a lot of good stagings up his sleeve. His works include Heroes, Cha Cha Cha, and The Code. And there we encounter a problem. All of these stagings are just so in your face. A lot is happening. They are really dramatic, really, really big. There's many elements to them. And frankly, I don't think Maman would benefit from something like that. Sure, drama is important, but with such a ballad, I don't think it would be smart to go over the top. So I just really, really hope that Fredrik doesn't overdo it. We don't need like full-on like laser shows or Luan trying to defy gravity on like a spinning prop, whatever that thing was. We need simplicity, we need emotion, probably some visuals to accompany it to kind of maybe help the story translate a little bit more. But like, don't overdo it, France. Please just don't overdo it. Now, the path to a French victory, in my opinion, is pretty clear. This would be another jury victory. However, unlike how I feel about Austria, I see this doing much better in the televote. I don't see this song winning the televote, but coming top 3 is definitely in its range. There's a possibility of France under-delivering when it comes to the result. Look at, for example, Lazara in 2023. The common consensus was that she would place in at least the top 10. And then she kind of flopped in the final. Also, this year we do have a lot of songs that use the French language. And when you add to that the overabundance of ballads this year, there is every possibility of this getting lost in the shuffle. But frankly, this song is so strong that I don't see it placing anywhere outside of the top 5. And listen, possibly winning. Therefore, it's in this video. One song that will definitely not get lost in the shuffle is Bara Bara Bastu. Sweden is on to another high-end finish and possibly their 8th victory in the contest, which is honestly insane. Like, girl, chill out, slow down a little. Some of us still haven't won once. Leave something for us too. Kai with Bara Bara Bastu gave us something really different for Sweden, but still incredibly polished. And again, I could see this getting rewarded with a lot of points in the final. Their win was so meaningful in Melfest, and they only cemented Sweden's frontrunner position this year. As of me recording this, Sweden is still first place in the odds. The song is super fun, full of personality, and it's accompanied by a pitch-perfect staging. They could just honestly take the staging from Melfest, stick it up on the stage in Basel, and win with ease. I've also seen people compare this to entries like Cha Cha Cha, which are fun, televote-friendly fan favorites, and I honestly can see it. I think Bara Bara Bastu does definitely belong in the family of those songs. I think the potential path to victory for this is pretty easy to predict. This is one of the frontrunners for that televote victory, and I think it's not gonna be a crazy prediction to say that this is absolutely gonna demolish the televote. I would not discount the jury when it comes to this entry as well. Remember, in Melfest, Kai lost the jury vote only by 2 points to Manzermelo, who had like the most jury-friendly song I've seen in a while. Is this winning the jury? No, I don't think so, but they are still gonna do very well. Also, the juries have become more and more open as time went on. Like, for example, Karia finished 4th for them, Bambi last year finished 6th, and Baby Lasagna finished 3rd for them. I think finishing 3rd or maybe even 2nd is more than achievable for Kai. Whilst the jury category seems crowded, the televote victory should be slightly easier to achieve, even though I still think that the inclusion of, for example, Israel is going to affect the televote again, even though I don't think that their score is going to be as big as it was last year. But still, Kai can absolutely win the contest, and that televote victory seems more than realistic at this point.
And clap!
But speaking of possible televote victories, it's very possible that we'll get a repeat of 2023, when it was Sweden and Finland battling it out for the win at the very top of the scoreboard. Erika Wickman is gonna sing Ich komme for Finland, and her stage presence alone should be enough to guarantee a win. Like, when it comes to performances, Erika is always a safe bet. Mind you, during her performance in UMK, her in-ear monitors weren't working and she still demolished everybody. Imagine what happens when she gets to Basel, she performs there, and nothing is gonna go wrong. She's gonna mop the floor with everybody. And the song itself is just pure perfection too. I've streamed this so much, and it's for a reason. This is a global hit waiting to be discovered.
Yup.
The staging from UMK was also perfect, and from what we know, it will remain similar to the one in Basel. One thing I do feel like needs improvement is the camera shots when Erika gets onto her like big flying microphone. It was just audience shots for the most part, and almost like 10 seconds. And that part does need some polishing in my opinion, but other than that, this was perfect. That specific part with the big microphone is the moment of this performance, and in my opinion, it feels like a Eurovision winning moment. Also, this is another staging that Sergio Jajan will be working on, so we can expect greatness and absolute slayage. Ich komme is the perfect song to take on Eurovision with. It's fun and it's gonna be so hype in the arena, many people will also love it at home. This is the pop perfection defined, and as a result, I see this having a great result in the future. Although this prediction might be controversial. Most songs we talked about were more dominant in either juries or televote, not both, maybe with the possible exception of Bara Bara Bastu. In my humble opinion, Ich komme is on to do well with both, and allow me to explain.
Fucking idiot.
The juries do tend to go for safer entries, but in recent years, they started to appreciate things that are more out of the box. The criteria that the juries vote on aren't just vocal prowess, they're also judging the songs based on the performance and the quality of the song itself. And in those categories, Ich komme also checks all of the boxes. This is on to get a great score from the juries. And when it comes to the televote, I feel like I don't even have to explain why this is gonna do well. We are 4 entries in, 2 more to go. Now, it's time for the entry that I actually have mixed feelings on when it comes to winner contention, but nonetheless, I see the vision. Albania will be represented by Shkodra Elektronika with their song Zierm. This is a massive fan favorite and has been since it was selected. This song took the fandom by storm. Everybody seems to love it, and the general consensus is that this is the best Albanian entry possibly ever, and it can also be a possible underdog to win the whole contest. Now, there is an important difference that we need to kind of talk about. What the Eurovision fandom likes isn't always what does well. For example, last year, Marina Sati was an overwhelming favorite and finished 11th in the grand final, which is still great, but probably lower than most people who wanted it to. The Eurovision fandom is quite small in comparison to the number of people that watch the contest each year. If there's one entry that I could see this happening to, I would say it'd be Zierm. But one thing we cannot deny is that this is an incredible entry. It's so fierce, so deep, so different, stands out so much in this lineup. Beatrice's stage presence and the dance break and Cole's spoken word part are both moments that, in my opinion, could be Eurovision winning moments. Stuff like this is a risk, but a risk that can pay off.
Clock that T. Clock that T. Clock it. Clock that.
This entry is an interesting beast to judge because I don't know what exactly its path to victory would be. It's a bit of a wild card, and I could see it doing well with the televote, the juries, or maybe both, or maybe neither. However, this song to me feels just too distinct for me to be able to write it off as like collateral damage. If I had to guess, I'd say that this could win on the back of a big televote score. But then again, I could see the juries falling for this. I truly don't think we can write off Zierm's winner equity. This entry is a fan favorite, and it's a fan favorite for a reason. And it's very possible that all the people who will see it for the first time in May will fall in love with this in an instant, just like this fandom did. Also, there is the factor of the Albanian diaspora, which is a pretty big one that can also help push this a place or two higher. I also do want to focus on what Albania's theoretical win could do for the contest and how many improvements it could bring. If Eurovision was to be held in, for example, Tirana, it would probably allow some of the countries in Eastern Europe to come back. For example, North Macedonia, Romania, or Moldova.
And clap!
The contest would be so much more affordable, and it would probably allow some countries to rejoin the contest. Also, just theoretically, because I think this is a very delusional take from me, but here we go. If Albania had power in the Eurovision reference group, oh my god, this is such a delusional take, but maybe, just maybe, Kosovo's participation could be back on the table. Am I delusional for this? I might be, but listen, that only makes me more a part of the Eurovision fandom. We are all a little delulu here. I think Kosovo's participation would be incredible. It would be so exciting to see a new country make a debut in the contest, and I think Albania's win could be that step that finally allows the conversations around Kosovo's participation to go further.
Why have you forsaken me? Why have you forsaken me?
Now, I do view Albania as a bit of a wild card this year, but there's one more country that I see barely anyone talking about, honestly, but in May, low-key, I could see this song like sweeping the floor with everyone. Yes, I know, but hear me out. Voleva essere un duro by Lucio Corsi is not a revolutionary entry, but it's a beautiful one nonetheless. And yes, I could see this winning.
And clap!
Let me explain. This one feels like an obvious frontrunner to me. Weirdly enough, Italy doesn't come up in winner discussions, and I feel like it should. I might sound delusional for this, but this could fully place in the top 5 for both the juries and the televote. Italian as a language also has its advantages. People love Italian music, so they might be more likely to vote for this. A similar situation I talked about with Maman. This is also really accessible, relatable, and not overly dramatic. I know some people, and that includes me, at times get turned off by big, ambitious, complicated stagings. Sometimes simplicity works wonders, and this performance is a perfect example of this, because it doesn't have any weird and misplaced gimmicks. It's just Lucio and the music. This song feels like such an obvious jury favorite as well. They're gonna eat this up. I feel like people tend to diminish entries that aren't as in your face as others.
Any other thoughts?
But remember, just because a song isn't a dance club banger doesn't mean it's completely doomed. We've seen entries like this do very well before. Specifically, I want to highlight 2011 when Raffaele Guelazzi nearly won the whole contest for Italy with a song that had a bit of a similar vibe to Lucio's entry. I also think that it could achieve the same heights as, for example, the Common Linnets achieved in 2014. I also think the simplicity of this performance could work in a similar way as it did for example, Duncan Lawrence in 2019 when he won with Arcade for the Netherlands. That staging consisted of darkness in the arena, a piano, and a light bulb, and it still won.
And clap.
I could see Lucio doing a very similar thing as Duncan did in 2019. So yeah, I might sound pretty weird for this prediction, but I genuinely believe Italy should be included in the conversation. This is a great entry, and if it wins, it will be more than deserved. These are the 6 countries I'm predicting to duke it out for the win. I could see a few more like Switzerland, Poland, Netherlands, for example, being included in the conversation, but these 6 seem like the most clear frontrunners to me. But who's gonna win? It's time for me to put my money on one of them, and it's difficult. You know what? I'm gonna put my money on France. I think we're gonna be dancing through the streets of Paris or Lyon or Nice next year. Will I be correct though? We'll see. Thank you so much for watching the video, watching me yap about these songs. I really encourage you to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, share it around, follow me on all of my socials. Take care, and I'm gonna see you very, very soon. Bye!
You can't handle all this pussy! You can't handle it!
And clap.